York City with Cynthia McFadden.
He was almost in Sarah Palin's shoes. Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty was on John McCain's short list of potential running mates in 2008. We all know how that turned out. But now his name is being tossed around for the top spot on the ticket in 2012. This week, Tim Pawlenty completed his second term as governor. My co-anchor Terry Moran sat down with him for our series, The Contender.
In a lot of ways, Tim Pawlenty is the anti-Palin in the burgeoning field of Republican presidential hopefuls. He's just finished 2 terms as the governor of Minnesota. He finished his term. He doesn't have a reality TV show.
You can see Russia from here. Almost.
He's got about 20,000 followers on Twitter. Palin's got about 350,000. He's by no means a household name in America, and he's got a very Minnesota, very easygoing, very mild public persona. But he does hunt.
A little deer hunting, some pheasant hunting or duck hunting. Some turkey hunting. We got wild turkeys in this area, too, so that's fun.
We traveled to snowy Minneapolis this week to talk to Tim Pawlenty.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Because while there are certainly better-known Republicans eyeing the presidency in 2012, Sarah Palin, Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, and others, Tim Pawlenty is seen by many Republicans, including Rush Limbaugh, as a genuine contender. And having just left office on Monday, Pawlenty, who we talked to at the home of an aide, is wasting no time.
There are those who say you're already running.
Well, I've made no secret of the fact that I'm considering it. I'll make the final decision and announcement about running for president probably in the March-April timeframe.
But Pawlenty's already been crisscrossing the country for months, laying the groundwork in Iowa, New Hampshire, and other key states. And he's embarking on a book tour, having just published Courage to Stand, which looks a lot like a campaign biography. So we asked him,
what makes you think that you'd be qualified to be president?
Well, I think the country's in big trouble, and we need leaders to emerge who understand that and see that clearly. And I've got a set of experiences as the chief executive of my state in Minnesota.
Pawlenty was born and raised in Minnesota, the youngest of 5 children. His father was a truck driver in blue-collar South St. Paul. Things were tough, and they got tougher when his mom died of cancer.
When you're 16 years old and your dad spent most of his life as a truck driver and you have modest means and you lose your mom, you know, it's a scary thing. And you look to the future and say, hey, this might not work out so well for me. And so first I turned to my faith, and I also learned that there's no substitute for hard work.
He was the first one in his family to go to college and then law school. But he got interested in politics, first city council, then state house, and in 2002, governor of Minnesota. Minnesota, for so long the cradle of liberals like Hubert Humphrey, Walter Mondale, Paul Wellstone, now Al Franken. But Pawlenty styles himself a Sam's Club Republican, fiscally conservative, middle class, emphatically anti-elite. He won praise as governor from many on the right for holding the line on spending, but he left his successor a projected $6 billion deficit. He'd run for president as a kind of prairie populist.
I think what you got now is people have figured out that the country has been disproportionately influenced by big government, big unions, and big business. And they have coalesced into an iron triangle to basically screw everybody else. And the country's mad.
Sarah Palin of the great state of Alaska.
John McCain's choice of Sarah Palin as his running mate stunned everyone, including Tim Pawlenty, who'd been on the very short list of finalists.
I never had an entitlement mentality about it, and so it wasn't that disappointing. But as it became possible, of course, your hopes get lifted, and you start thinking about it more. So, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say you had some hope for that.
That campaign rocketed Palin to the pinnacle of the Republican Party and a possible presidential run. Today, Pawlenty, like every other Republican, is watching Palin's every move and goes out of his way to praise her.
So in your judgment, she is qualified to be president of the United States?
I think she can do a good job as president of the United States.
Is there a sense that among the people in the Republican Party thinking about running for president, y'all are scared of Sarah Palin?
Well, Sarah Palin is a force of nature, and whether she runs or doesn't run, she's going to have a lot of impact on 2012, the Republican Party, but I don't think it's fair to say people are afraid of her.
He also praises the last Republican president.
One more name just to toss out at you here. George W. Bush.
I think George W. Bush will go down in history as a strong and good and great leader.
A great leader.
Well, he certainly didn't do everything perfectly, but this is somebody who had the courage of his convictions. I think history is going to treat him more kindly than the political chatter of the day.
But can a guy like Pawlenty compete with all the star power in the race this time?
You know, the general rap on you, which is you're too nice. That at the end of the day, maybe not enough pizzazz for the presidency. How do you answer people who say that?
You can either look at pizzazz or you can look at people's records and what they stand for and what they got done. And I'll take results over pizzazz any day of the week. But I also say as to pizzazz compared to who? I mean, I'll concede, you know, maybe Sarah Palin, but really? I mean, compared to the other folks who might be running, I think I compare favorably.
Pawlenty's wife, Mary, is a lawyer and former judge. They've been married for 23 years.
I thought he was funny. I thought he was warm and engaging and all of those kinds of things, and I thought he was completely terrific. But it was over time. We became friends first and then started dating after that.
I thought she was really hot, Terry. I still do.
They've got 2 teenage daughters, and they share a devout evangelical Christian faith.
You both know where your help comes from. You both know that in the end that's a cornerstone of who you are and what you believe. And in times of great challenge, you know where you're going to turn as a team. And we both turn to God.
If Tim Pawlenty runs when he runs, it'll be all uphill for him, and he knows it.
Life is hard. You know, if this were easy, if the only object of the exercise is who's got the most money or who's the most well-known, that's not me. But I think there's some other things the American people are going to be looking for this time. And we got to get back to saying what's good for the country, what's good for everyday Americans. Yeah.
The first in our series of 2012 contenders. Our thanks to Terry Moran for that. When we come back, who will top the Republican ticket? That's the subject of tonight's closing argument. But first, here's Jimmy Kimmel with what's coming up next. Jimmy?
Tonight, Patricia Heaton is here. Bachelor Brad Womack is back for another round of TV love. And Josh Groban with a tribute to Kanye West. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next.
ABC's Desperate Housewives. All new Sunday at 9, 8 Central on ABC.
Hey, what are you drinking?
Dunkin' Iced.
The biggest iced coffee I can get.
Iced coffee helps me keep up.
I love iced coffee.
Drinking Dunkin'.
I'm drinking Dunkin'.
Drinking Dunkin'.
Dunkin'
iced coffee.
I run on Dunkin' iced coffee.
America runs on Dunkin' Coffee. This weekend, have a seat at Raymond.